We are here for yet another fabulous tutorial. Today we are presenting the Raven, and we're going to go through the whole process using our supply pack. I'd say this is a level 3 bumping up to 4, really.
It's a 4.
It's a 4. Okay, we're just going to say it's a 4. I do feel like it's like accessible. Yeah.
Okay, it's a 3 if you've made a lot of other things.
Yes. Well, that's how it works.
Well, I know, but it's a 3 or 4, like she said.
I'm sitting here playing with this swax. It's amazing. So, yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'll open the supply pack. I'll talk about the tools that I have with me real quick. Definitely your felting surface and needles. I have a Zuli tool and a face ace, pliers, punch tool, pen tool. And then in terms of specialty items specific to the supply pack, I am going to use swax today, although we are experimenting with other products. I'm holding your hand, Milo.
It's so time. Nice, really.
And I have also, we're going to be using an iron. And we're going to be using Power Tex, which is the water-based product that stiffens our fiber. So I'll show you how to use that. That is going to be for the wings. Did I miss anything? Hair cutting scissors are helpful, or fabric scissors.
Yeah.
Some sharp scissors.
Yeah, you actually used thinning shears at one point.
Yep. Thinning shears can help too. So yeah, I'm really excited to share this with you guys. As always, we recommend you watch the tutorial, or at least, just bop through it so that you see the process, you have a roadmap for where you're going, and then join in with me and work along with me. You good?
Yeah, I just need to know, what do you call a raven that likes to tell jokes?
You need to know this? I have a feeling you know.
I mean, I do know. You might.
A raven that likes to tell jokes.
You might groan.
I'm sure I will. I have no idea.
It's a caw median.
A caw median.
There's
gonna be a lot of caw.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a closer look at our project before we get started. Now, I will say that working in black is tough in terms of making a tutorial. So we've done our best to adjust lighting, etc., so that you guys can see. But being at a level 3 to 4, you are at a place that you understand how shapes go, and hopefully don't need as much of a visual. But we should be good. We're going to make an armature, and the armature is a little different than other armatures in that I have this extra piece on the leg. And I'll explain why that is the way it is. We need some support, but I'll go through that when we make the armature. And this is what the armature looks like. Pretty simple. And then we, build up our core wool. And then the wings are made with, this is where the Power Tex comes in, and they're made with a fine merino black pre-felt, which is in the supply pack. I'll go through the supply pack. On the toes, legs, and beak, we will be using swax today. I don't know that I'll swax the entire leg, but definitely the toes and the beak. And then we are also experimenting with new products to use in a similar way. So stay tuned for that. If we add anything on, you will see that in the video. But yeah, let me open the supply pack and show you what's what. So we have 3 ounces of charcoal, great core. I like having not using black. First of all, it's going to film better, but also when you sculpt in black, you really want to have some variation and some light. So this is just a shade up from black. And then you have a full ounce of our new plumage color called Raven. Raven was in the Pelt family, but we've reformulated it to be the same fiber content as plumage. And it has the teal, the purple, and the brown in it. Presents as black, but has some more dynamic colors going on in there. And then you have a small bundle. This will be to tint the Raven in kind of different directions. It contains 2 plumage colors, Victoria Crown Pigeon and Peafowl, and a chocolate brown silk. So between these 3 colors, we'll be able to take that black and bring it one way or another. Your Sarafina white is only for the dots in the eyes. You're going to use that much of it. So, but that is in there. And then you have some more core in black and Payne's gray. And these are for legs and face and other details. We have all of our wires. We'll go through those specifically when we make the armature. We also have in the supply pack a piece of black pre-felt. This is what we're going to use to make shapes for the wings and beak. And along those lines is the template. So the template has all of the shapes that the pre-felt becomes to size, to scale, so that you can cut them out easily. So that is our supply pack. Okay, the armature is made of mainly 3 aluminum wires, and they are 1 14 gauge at 30 inches and 2 12 gauge at 28 inches. So you'll be able to tell the difference in the length and the size. It's helpful that the 2 12 gauge are the same length. And then we also have some cloth covered wires, and you will have 4 22 gauge, and they are to help us with the toes and beak, and then 2 26 gauge. So you'll separate those out. I think, again, you'll be able to feel the difference.
It's a little trickier to feel the difference. A little trickier,
yeah, but definitely 2 of them are thinner and softer. All right, we're going to start with our aluminum wire, and we're going to start with the 14 gauge. And we're going to find the center and make a sharp point. This is going to be a part of his beak. And then bring your wires together, but leave a 1.5 inch sort of fish shape. That's going to be his head and the beginning of his beak. And you can even make it into a diamond by widening it like that. And then twist this a total of 6 inches, 5.5 to 6 inches. Don't go longer than 6 for sure. From the tip of the diamond to the end of the twist. And then this is his head. And I usually give his neck a little bit of an S curve. Then we want to line up our 12 gauge, find the center, give it a bit of a pinch. So the 14 gauge is going to become, it's the head and neck, and then it goes back to be the tail. The 212 gauge, this one might be a better example. The 212 gauge get twisted in at the shoulder, like we always do, and then come down to make some real sturdy legs, because they get pretty built up. I mean, they're 3 ounces or more on, probably closer to 4 or 5 ounces on their body. So that's why I went with the 2 12-gauge wires, to give them a nice strong leg. So this is a little tricky, because we are twisting 2 strong wires together with the 14 gauge. Usually we're using the same wire, and we're only using 1. So this is a slightly different scenario than most of our 4-legged creatures. The easiest way to do this is to grab a 12 and 14 together and isolate a 12 gauge and do the twisting that way. Then they'll be more even. And we want to do 1 full rotation internally, inwards. So I go around, and like that would be 1. I think I'm going to do 2. I just want it to be real. Well, let's start with 1. So I take a 12 gauge out and have the 14 and 12, and then I want to go around like that. I'm going to take this one around like that. There we go. Whoops, nope. There it is. 12, that was 2 times around. So the 12 and 14 are coming back again. Then we want to leave these where they are, and then twist the 12 and 14 together about an inch and a half. I try to hold the 14 and only twist the 12 so that they marry. So hold the 14 and push the 12 around it internally, so that the 14 now is still pointing backwards, and we have almost like a 2-inch distance between the 2 12-gauge wires. Then we bring the 14-gauge wires together. Oh, look at me. I'm so used to pushing out here, and now it needs to be right here. And this is going to be about 3 inches, this distance. But you want this width, and then these twist together, and this is going to support the tail. And I'm not folding the ends over. I'm just twisting them together and letting them be pointy, because they get fully covered. Okay, now the reason he looks 4-legged instead of 2-legged is because we want to create this box here. Now this does 2 things. In the technical, like in the real raven skeleton, this is not how they're built. They have, just like all the other animals we do, they come off and they have a stifle, and then back to the hock, and then down to the foot. But if we only had our wire coming off right at this point without any muscles in our sculpture, it would be very tippy, and it would put a lot of pressure on that point. The other thing that they have in their skeleton is a very deep, sort of pronounced chest bone. So these forward pointing wires sort of replicate that in shape. So now we have that shape replicated, and we have the stability of the leg. So to make this shape, we want to come forward 2 inches and then bend that back. And then this 12-gauge wire, we want about a 2.5 inch length. So it's a little lopsided. This is about 2. Here, I'll show. I don't know if this ruler will show. This is just short of 2. It's an inch and 3/4, and then that's 2, and then that's 2. And then we just want this one a little bit longer, about 2.5 inches, this section here, because their leg is 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. So now we take these together, and we're going to twist them down 5 inches. So I want the twist to be 5, and then these 2 wires become toes. Perfect.
You say the armature is simple. Is it?
It's not. I guess it's not. This is where, yeah. You don't want to jump in on armatures on this project. This one, I gotta say, did take me a while to figure out. Okay, so remember I said this is going to be 2.5. This distance. And then we want to go 2.5. We want to split this in half. So 2.5 back to a hawk, and then 2.5 down to the foot. So it's good to get our bends in there so that we know the shape of our structure. Ooh, it's looking good. And then these toes, we want to cut to 1 3/4 inches. No. Yes, 1 3/4 inches.
Measure twice. Cut once.
I had a short toe and a long toe last Raven. He's okay. He's turned out all right.
He's standing there.
Yeah, they stand up right away, which is very exciting. It makes me feel very accomplished. Alrighty. Time to get into our cloth-covered wires. We want 2 22 gauge one for each leg. So you can give yourself 2 inches to wrap around this back thigh, and then bring it on down. I go with the twist so that it just folds right into that twist. And it goes down like almost kind of like every other. You don't need to like encircle the entire leg. You just need it to blend in and move down. And it does add just a little bit of texture so that when we wrap these legs, they don't slip. And then the toes are made by, we did this with the chicks. They're made, you want to just keep taking the wire the same direction that you go. So I'm left-handed, so it's going this way, but when you're right-handed, it's going to be going the other way. But you come off 1 3/4 inches, fold it around. I came off the front of the foot, so now I'm going to go around the back of the foot. Just check that. Oh, spot on. Then I'm around the back of the foot. Now I'm going to go around the front of the foot. And the remainder, you can take out your back toe or your front toe. It doesn't matter. So that 22 gauge bent in half gives us a nice substantial toe to match our 12 gauge wire toes. Just using 2 inches to start on the thigh, anchor it down, and then come down around. Okay. Come out this way. And they're a little bit angled forward. They're not sticking. They're at about a 45. They're not sticking straight out the sides. And they're a little wobbly until we get the, some fiber on there and get everything locked down. But I don't twist them. I feel like it just adds weirdness because then the wire has a mind of its own and it gets confused. Okay. And then the 2 26 gauge wires we want to cut in half. I'll do them one at a time. Let me bring this under. It's hard to see the dark wires on the brown. And these become the talons. Talons are claws.
They're talons.
Not claws.
Not claws.
That's a different thing.
They're kind of massive talons.
All right, I'm going to go a little bigger than I did last time, I think. Maybe.
Well, I mean, they definitely curl around. When you look at reference pictures, they are like...
Okay. So find the center, and the first one, you could go side to side or front to back, but basically they're going to span the center of the foot and then go each direction. So on the 12 gauge, we want to wrap tightly around and then just bring it off. And you could go 1/2 inch, you could go 3/4 of an inch. These are your talons, your raven's talons, and then just fold it back. I don't have enough to go around the wire again. That's okay. And then I'm coming out the back foot. I'm going to go out as far as I want to go. Looks like I'm doing about 3/4 and fold it back. And I'm not trying to wrap. I don't have enough wire to wrap more around. And then the next one, you're going to go side to side. So find the center. We're going to get these 22 gauge toes. I'm going to go around both wires. And then when I get to the tip, I'm going to come up in between so that the talon is real centered and anchored. Now on these, I have enough. Well, not really. I'm just going to tuck it back in there. I'm not really going to wrap. So now it's nice and like centered on the toe. I also, one of the first things we do with fiber in this project is wrap the talons. So I do have my swax warming up. It's really helpful just to get that wool to lock down nice and tight. Yeah, they have a lot of really cool detail in their feet. At this scale, that's one thing I didn't talk about, was the scale of this project is like sort of in between raven and crow, slightly larger than a crow, and maybe slightly smaller than a life-size raven. But it's fun because you can look at reference pictures and totally make either with all the same steps. You just wouldn't have as much of the hackles as we make, and the beak might be a little bit slimmer for the crow.
Yeah, raven's beaks are
chunky.
Definitely a telling feature that it's a raven and not a crow.
What's the difference between a female and a male raven?
That's a good question.
Sorry, I know this is hard to see, but you know what I'm doing.
Pretty much, males are just slightly larger.
Okay.
Males are officially dominant of the two. It says they get first dibs when it comes to taking food. Rude. Although I will say, over the years, going out to eat, especially sharing an appetizer, I have learned in my own relationship to claim the part of the appetizer I want because I don't eat as fast And then I feel like it's really a male raven situation that I'm like, back off. I get these 2 mozzarella sticks. Like, that's an aside from the project.
That's good.
Yes.
It's good to find your voice. Be in your power.
Don't
your
eat
mozzarella stick.
Don't eat my cheese sticks.
I'm very happy with my armature so far.
That's
Let's
nice.
see if I can keep it going. Why do I have 2 pieces? I know why. One is going to go on the body and start to create the upper part of the beak, and the other is we're going to save out for the lower beak. Because I do in this project make an open beak so that your raven can be super expressive and hold little things for you. Yeah. Man, I missed all kinds of good information in the opening. Take your wire and find about 4 inches in. And this is a little not super straightforward. We're going to hook in. We're going to hook in on one side of the face and go around one time, like off on that point of the side of the diamond, and then come off. I'm going to take it just a little bit farther out, just a little bit more wire. There we go. And then come off of the beak 1.5 inches and turn around. And so you're making an extension to the face, 1.5 inches. And then let me measure that to make sure I'm telling you guys the right thing here. It's 1.5 inches from where it comes off. Well, it's a little slightly more, and it's about 1 inch. I got 1.1 inches to 1.25 inches from the point to the point. But you have wiggle room with this. This is where we're starting. And then bring it back. Make it pointy. My point is off. And then bring it back to the other side and wrap it around. And then the rest of the wire is going to come down the neck. I just go under the body, like between the legs, and then it's going to come right out the tail. And it should be enough to pretty much go out the tail. We can steal a little bit from this guy if we need it, but yeah, and that is our complete armature. The first thing that we're going to do with our wool on our armature is wrap the toes. I just like to get them squared away. I have my swax heated up. I also have a little bit of, you could have gnome or bunny butter. And that just helps with your fingers.
The stickiness.
Plus it just feels good. And it smells good. We're going to use black. And we're going to start with a 3 to 4 inch piece and quarter that. So we're going to have 4 pieces. And we're going to do that twice because we got a lot of toes. A lot of crow's toes. That's what these are on the sides of my eyes.
Those are, what? Those are not crow's toes.
They are crow's toes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Crow's feet.
All right. Crow's feet. I was like, they're not crow's toes. It's more fun to call them crow's toes.
It is more fun to call them crow's toes.
I like to call them lines of joy.
Yes, I feel like I like them. I'm going to wrap the whole toe in black. It's just easier to get to go out and back. And on the toe, we want to be very tight, very condensed. You can put a little bit of swax on the tip of the toe before you put the fiber on. I think that's really helpful just to get it to lock down. And I'm using clear swax. I haven't pigmented it. It stays very black. You could pigment it if you'd like. And then turn around and go back. And we want it nice and pointy. And the swax will help us create that shine and that point as well. And then I'm just going to let my fiber taper and run out. The toe is going to get wrapped in the Payne's Gray. So I don't need... there's going to be another layer. I'm saying. So to use the swax, put a nice thin layer on, let it cool for a couple of seconds, and then I like to put a little bit of bunny or gnome butter on my fingertips, and then you can really just press it in. Ooh, that's nice. So now it's shiny and pointy.
Just like...
Yeah, love it. Love it. You will do this 8 times. We might tell a joke, and we might time lapse. Give me a fact.
A fact?
Yeah.
Ooh, I have my facts page open. So ravens are really smart. Like chimpanzee, lots of neuron connections in their brain, really, really smart. So this book that we have talks about them dropping...
Well, let's show the book.
Yeah, it talks about them dropping their nuts that need cracked in the road so cars drive over them, and then they go pick them up.
That is very smart. This is the book. It is on our Goods and Faves page, and it is full of stories, pictures, illustrations, poems, art. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. Go.
Oh, no.
Go for it.
So the ravens are carrion.
Mm-hmm.
So they eat, flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gave them a bad rap because they're connected to a lot of death type things.
Yeah.
Depending on the culture, that's either positive or negative.
I just love, that's so good. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have all different kinds of standings in different cultures, from trickster to mystery, death, change, like all kinds of omens.
Yeah, Native American is connected to the trickster. But also a hero.
Oh, I like that.
Tricksters aren't necessarily bad. Some are harmless, helpful, or even heroic. But they're unpredictable. But in Japanese mythology, they're associated with divine guidance. Welsh mythology, they're associated with prophecy. But then the Irish see them as chaos.
That's funny.
This one I love. In British tradition, ravens represent guardianship and protection. So the Tower of London had ravens there, and even now, 6 ravens are kept at the Tower of London all times for their legendary power of protection.
That's awesome. I'm going to do that at my house.
Yes, you should get 6, like the Tower of London. King Charles II apparently claimed that the tower in the kingdom itself would crumble if anything happened to the ravens.
You lay down some kind of decree like that,
that's a big
and that's going to go on for a long, long time. People are going to be like, well, you said, and so
the whole kingdom's going to crumble.
Test it. I'm just gonna start doing that, saying random stuff like
Yes.
that. If Talbot doesn't bring donuts once a week,
the Sarafina Empire shall crumble. That's a lot of pressure, Talbot.
That's what I'm saying. Like you say something like that, it definitely sets a tone. Okay, I think we will let you guys wrap in peace and do a little time lapse here. Because I'm only halfway done.
Those are fancy, though.
All right, I'm on my last toe. We pulled the swax into frame so that you guys can see. The mug warmer that I like is linked on our Goods and Faves page. It's hot enough. Sometimes the candle warmers aren't quite hot enough, but swax is, it wants to be like slowly and consistently heated. Just be aware of which kind of, I've got a pretty thick glass plate on here, and that works really well because it's large enough that the heat's dispersed and the swax isn't getting overheated. I've tried those little silicone cups, which are nice because it's real easy to pop the swax out, but really, I mean, the plate is sacrificial. This is my swax plate, so I don't need to pop it out. And they got too hot. They were just in too much direct contact with the heat source. So as I was wrapping toes, we were just talking about some of the ins and outs of the kind of heater that we use. Also, there's a bit of a timing to it. So I talked about, putting it on, giving it a few seconds to cool. But if you get distracted or can't get right to it, it might cool a little bit too much in a, more thick, opaque way. So if that happens, just grab a clicker or something and just reheat it, and then you'll be able to smooth it out again. But it does have a really nice smoothing, sculptural, shiny, natural quality that I have not been able to replicate in other products. So on the Talons too, I'm just going to the toe knuckle. I'm not going back farther because we will put the Payne's Gray on the toes next. But yeah, I've got all my,
Fancy.
yes, they are very fancy. The next step is to put our Payne's Gray onto our legs and toes. I like the contrast of the dark gray to the black. You have other options. You could use charcoal. Well, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the legs in charcoal, and then we're going to put one layer of Payne's Gray on top and do the toes. So let's start there. Let's take a 6-inch piece, split it in half, and stretch that out. Another way to go would be to use a 8-inch piece and quarter it, but I think this is going to be good. I'm just pulling it very slightly to make sure it's all smooth and even. And then I'm starting at the top of the leg. To get it anchored, just go around in one spot so that you're pulling. Now I'm like pressing the fiber down with the pull, so it won't go anywhere. And then as I go down, I'm giving a little tug to make sure my fiber stays smooth and tight. Very important to get these tight. And I'm not trying to be super thin here, but I am trying to be very even. We don't want chunky, bulky legs. We want little spindly, weird raven legs. And then at the base of the foot, I can do a little wrap that goes maybe like around the toe, and then you skip two to the one opposite. Go around the toe, and then go around the side toe, skip two, and go around this side toe. And that just gives it a little bit of a foot base. Careful with your stabbing. I'm just tacking that down, but that should all remain very tight. Just get it started and then start moving.
It's very interesting. Ravens are the best parents on the planet, at least according to this particular site. It says young ravens are born in early spring. They don't have any plumage to protect them, so cold weather could be a problem. It says that's not the case. Their parents care for them with impressive devotion. If it's cold, parents fly miles to find flocks of sheep. They collect wool and they take it to the nest. They cover the nest with the wool, and it's like they're making a warm sweater for their little ones.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's possible that other birds also
do this,
take care of their babies, but I don't know about flying for wool.
Yeah, that's really
fun.
neat. That's really neat. They're little collectors, I feel like. Or am I making that up?
I think two in the family, like magpies.
Mm-hmm. All right, now we're ready to switch to the Payne's Gray, and I'm ready to sit. So we want to do something similar on the toes as we did with the black. So I'm going to take 4 inches and quarter it. This is pretty thick, this roving, so should be plenty, probably a little bit too much. And for now, I'm not using any kind of coating. I'm just going to go out and back, really trying to sort of bump up the knuckle that they have. They actually have quite padded feet, but we're not getting that detailed. But we can create an interesting look by wrapping them on the thin side and then doing a little crisscross back and forth at the end of the toe to imitate that pad that they have. And then I'm just going to finish it out. I think I'm not going to go back because I'm afraid it'll get too chunky. But yeah, I think that looks really cool. You can see the shape that we got there. And again, we're doing this 8 times. So I'm keeping it tight and thin, reinforcing with my right hand, my non-wrapping hand, and then at the end, don't want this ribbon to get wide. You won't be able to control it. You want to keep it under 1/4 inch wide. And then at the end, I'm doing a little crisscross, and then I'm just going to finish out some fringe. And if it's wrapped tightly, it doesn't need a lot of stabbing. The stabbing is just reminding the wool to stay put.
So raven parents do stay with their offspring longer than most birds.
Okay.
For like 6 months, even after they're free from the nest.
Oh, wow.
It's like they want to make sure they can make it through the winter.
That's cool. A big part of like upping your felting game is practice. It's a skill of making all of the techniques your own, learning to control the wool, knowing how much wool to use. So the more you do, the better you're going to be at it. Just like anything else, I guess.
Your hands start to know what to do.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. So I'm just going to show this whole leg, and then you're going to repeat on the other leg. If you need to rewind and rewatch, then that's what you can do. Getting all these toes. I like these talons. I think I went a healthy 3/4 of an inch versus 1/2 inch.
Okay.
When you finish a wrap, it's real important that you're down to sort of single fibers so it's real tapered. That gives you that nice smooth adhesion versus too much wool on a blunt end. Then you don't know where to put it. Actually, I think I can go ahead and do the leg. Let's get a 6-inch piece. It's like a little longer, maybe 7, and quarter it because we want to go over the dark gray with this lighter gray, but thin but consistent. So I don't want to add a lot of bulk. So I'm using a bit of a thinner piece, and then I'm just going to go down the leg. And again, if you wanted, you can leave it in the charcoal, in the darker gray. I just, with it being all black, I was just looking for a little more variation. And some of them do have these like silvery blue-gray legs. So and again, at the bottom of the foot, if I have more wool, I can get a little bit of weaving in and out here. Build up a little bit more of a foot base than just skinny coming into skinny. They do have a little bit of a padding in foot. And then you're going to repeat on the other side. We have our legs, lovely, our legs and toes wrapped. And now it's time to get some wool on the body. And we're going to be using the charcoal gray. And the first thing we want to do is, let me confer with my notes, 8 inches. And we're going to quarter just so it's nice and manageable. Although this feels like halves might be better. I'm going to do halves. My notes say quarters, but I feel like they're going to get too thin. So pull 2 8-inch strips and pull them in half and just stretch them out. And we're going to do the legs, the tail, and the neck. So let's start at the base of the neck. Move up towards the head. It should be tight, but it's not as imperative that it's all like, super tight and skinny. And then when we get to the head, we're going to do a crisscross. So I'm going to let me go around one more time. I'm going to go from this side to this side, and then I'm going to go from this side to this side. And if I have enough fiber, I'm going to do that again. Okay, and then let's put one piece on the tail, just an out and back.
Ravens can live 10 to 15 years in the wild, which feels pretty long for a bird. I guess larger birds.
Is that the average? Does it say?
That's in the wild. In human care, they can live between 40 and 50 years.
I was going to say, I feel like the wild average is always low because of, I don't know if that is their expected lifespan or their average lifespan. Okay, and then we want to just go straight around this leg square. And just be careful not to smush it together.
So a hawk is about 20 years in the wild.
Okay.
Ravens are more like 15.
Just go straight around and then stab down into your... I like to go from the inside because then you can really just go straight through into your stab it. Now, all throughout the tutorial, just to let you guys know, you are going to stab a little bit more than I do, in part because of time and in part because I have an aggravated left arm. So I'm sort of minimizing my stabbing. So if your instincts are telling you, I need to stab this more, then by all means, please do. So this time I'm just going straight around. I just want to get the fiber on here. We will do more fancy things to cover this in another step. Okay. And then let's pull a nice long, like 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, like 20-inch piece. And split it in half lengthwise. Not sure why this was so wacky. The piece had a wacky chunk taken out of it. And then we're going to get one wrap on the body. So I will go around the neck and then between the legs. And then over the tail, and then between the legs. And then around the neck, and between the legs, over the tail, and between the legs. And then the next one we'll do the other way. I'm just going to finish this out on the tail. Okay, and then this one we're going to build, so we crisscrossed underneath. So this one we're going to crisscross on top. I'm going to pull another piece because this is, I don't know why that's so weird. So if I go around the neck, I'm going to go over the back and then under the tail and over the back. Around the neck and over the back. All right, that's good. It's handy to have one of the mini stabbits too. So there's no wire in the middle, so I can kind of stab away, but just be careful. There's quite a bit of wire around this armature. All right. Now, we want to fill in a huge part of this space from the thighs up the neck and out to the tail. So we're going to take a 24-inch piece of core, keep it whole, just spread it so that it's nice and straight and even. It doesn't have any twist in it. So I'm not pulling it apart, I'm just stretching it out so it's nice and even. And then begin to roll. And I'm rolling fairly tightly. And you can kind of wobble back and forth, like when you used to make those paper footballs, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And that'll give you a more like oblong piece. And that goes right here. So it's a little thicker towards his butt, and then I'm going to taper it up towards his chest. And this is not going to stay on its own. We've got to wrap again to hold it on. But before we do, we're going to add another shape. I'm just tacking it. It's really not stuck. But you see how that fills in between these thighs here. It's almost down to the thigh square. With the other half of that 24-inch piece, let's split that in half. And then we're going to wrap the Zuli tool back and forth in about a 2.5-inch space. to make a nice, consistent, tight rectangle. Two times, and then these are going to go over, it's kind of where the shoulder would be, so it's going to go from the back over this twist to the chest, and this is going to start to create that wing, their sort of shoulder blade wing shape that we see when we look at pictures. Oh, we have to pull some tarot.
Yeah.
And we're gonna know so much. This is the bump that we're making now. And sometimes it's more exaggerated than others, depending on how your raven has his or her wings positioned.
Quite pronounced.
Yeah, it is. And we're probably going to end up making this shape again. As we build out, they get lost, and then we have to do it again. Again, I'm just tacking because I'm going to do another wrap. Okay, let's get another 20-inch piece. It's more like 24. All right. Split it in half.
It's a lot of fiber.
I know, it builds quickly. And then we just want to go like around. I'm going to go around. Try to go around here. Get those held on. And then I'm going to go under the that big egg that we put on here. I went crisscross, so now I'm going to go over the tail and then crisscross the other way. It's not super important what you do, but just anything that evenly wraps and locks down is a good move. And then stab that a bit. You can see the X holding it all together here.
Ravens are usually monogamous. Some
Awesome.
pairs even mate for life.
It's always so exciting. It gives me hope.
Birds
when
can do
animals
it.
are monogamous. Oh gosh. We're getting somewhere. Let's get a little more wool on this neck. I have this busted up piece, but it's a half, and maybe use another 8 or 9 inches of a half. And I'm just going to go, actually, I'm not going to go out and back. I'm going to make the S curve, and I'm going to do a crisscross. So that one where we go from here to here and let the wool build up in the middle. I'm going to go up here, and then I go down here. Go up here, and I go down here. Give him a little neck muscle. And then with this other half, I'm just going to go top to bottom and smooth this shape out. Build up this bottom a little bit. And then come on up here and get a little more thickness on the neck. Voila.
Mm.
We are ready to continue. We have most of our body done. We have more core to put on here. Our legs and feet are wrapped. We will get to the head next. But before we keep going, what I would like to do is prepare the pre-felt wing and beak pieces, because we're going to use power text, and it just takes a little bit of time to dry. So if we go through the template and the pre-felt and cut that now and felt our fiber on, Kyla is going to just iron and press off camera, but all you're doing is flattening it out, you'll see. And then we're going to apply the power text. And then while that dries, we will continue with our sculpture, and then everything will be ready to go. So I'm going to open my template. I have my pre-felt and I have my fabric scissors. The first thing I want to do is just cut it in half. Fold it over and cut in half. And when you do this, you're going to end up with two pieces that are approximately 7.5 by 9, which is what fits on your template. Let's do this side first. We want to cut, so all solid lines are cut and dotted lines are fold. I don't know if that's real pattern speak. I just made it up, so don't yell at me if I have it backwards. So the first thing we want to do is cut from corner to corner. Now you can't fold it in half because then your corners will be wacky. So you got to fold from corner to corner, and it's going to be a little bit offset like this because this is not a square. And then, as the instructions say, flip, align, and stack with the counterpart. So we're going short ends together, long ends together. Then we're going to put it in this side, and we want to cut the beak here. So we're going about 2.5 inches in, and I'm going to use a little bit of a rounded cut. I'm not going to go straight across because that gives us just a little bit more wiggle room when we go to put this on to create the beak. If I came straight across, it might be a little too short. Just like that. So these are our two beak pieces. Now, each one of the wings is going to get folded. So we're going to do the corner first, like that. And I'm just going to tack that down. You can use a punch or pen. It doesn't matter. You're just getting it stuck. And then we want to fold this line. So it's about 1 inch in and it goes like that. And then it creates this tip. Like that. Then on the other wing, we want to do that in reverse. So let's see, I was like this, so that means I need to do it this way. So I flip it over, I fold this in first. That's the only tricky thing about these pieces is there needs to be one for the left and one for the right of the bird, which you sort of have to keep track of.
easier said than done for some of us.
It is. It's not super simple. Like I have to keep positioning it and looking at it again. Okay, so that is our first piece of pre-felt. We have 2 wings and 2 beak pieces. And then with our second piece of pre-felt, we're going to make a tail piece. We get 2 more wing pieces out of this, and then a third wing piece. Each wing has, I keep dropping his little, is made up of 3 pieces. This is the big one we just made. This is the narrow one we're about to make, and then this is the round top layer of feathers. So on this side, we want to fold this over and cut it in half lengthwise. So we're making this cut right down the middle. And then we're going to make a bow tie shape with the bottom of the tail. Sort of like a kite shape, paper airplane, however you want to think of it. I think the easiest way to do it is just bring those 2 sides in, have them meet up like you're starting a paper airplane. I think the punch tool would be good here. And then we want to cut this narrower at the top and come out to these 2 points. And this is just a little bit over 1 inch across here. Yeah. And then this tie-shaped piece is going to be our tail, and then these 2 narrow pieces are going to be another part of the wing. So the easiest way for me to do this is to come in 1 inch and then just head for that corner. And I can steal like a little bit more. This is not a precision situation. Like, just need the base. Need the base for our wings. So I'm going to put that in the wing pile. That's a tail. And then this piece, we're going to get these 2 sort of quarter circle pieces by folding this in half like this. And then I'm going to cut from here around to this corner. So I'm essentially cutting the fold off. Like that. And then this is extra. You might need, you might mess up on your beak and need it. You could even like cut it and make another thin feather tier. You could make a few individual feathers out of it. But that is extra at this moment. So that's the template. Yeah, so you can see in this picture, we've got the big wing, the little extra thin piece, and then the round upper tier of shorter flight feathers. So, okay. Now to get these going, we're going to blend some fiber. Now we're going to get into our raven and our peafowl, our purple, and our brown. And I do have hand carders here, although I think you can stack and pull, especially because I don't want a perfect blend. I want a little bit of variation to the color. So I think I'm going to start with, well, we can go ahead and do the tail since I have it here. Turn it this way. And the tail, I'm mostly going to make black. I put a little more into the wings because I want the different layers to show off of each other. But I'm just going to let this take real thin pieces let it hang over the edge, and then just go up one more layer. The majority of this gets covered by other things, so I'm not worried about covering the entire thing. And then if I want to put a little bit of color on there, I can just grab real thin wisps of color and put them on. Now you could hand blend if you want, but it's kind of like a glaze of color. I'm just going to put a little bit of brown. I should have put this first because it's silk. That's okay. And then we're going to punch this down. Just letting all the fringy edges go off the tail. And I'm going to show you, you can fold or you can cut. I think cutting is better.
Really?
I mean, I've done it both ways.
You get kind of the,
It just gets
not
thinner.
jagged, but and like a little kind of feathered edge look.
Yeah, it gets thinner, I guess. So I was just saying, like on wings and tails in prior ravens, I have turned this over and folded the fiber over, but I think I'm going to cut it. I think I'll fold this over a little bit. So since I'm going to cut it, I'm just going to put a little bit on the back so that it's, you know, real even. So that the pre-felt is real evenly spaced in there. Plus, you might see this part of the tail from underneath, depending on where your raven is perched. All right. It's the tail. So for now, I'm going to just trim it a little on the long side. And then after it's power waxed, I'll decide if I want to trim it more. So I just cut that about 3/4 of an inch from the pre-felt. It's probably hard to see, but I can see it. I can see it in there. So this side is just the raven. It's a little cooler. And then this side has purple and brown in it, so it's a little bit warmer.
That looks cool.
Awesome. We don't need the beak pieces. I'm going to set those aside. Let's do our large wings. Now, when this goes on, this shows, this does not show. So maybe I want to, let's see. This goes like this. So for this one, I'm going to blend a little bit. I want some raven. And this first here, I'm going to make brown. When I look at pictures, I see a lot of brown. So I'm going to put some silk in there. And then I'm going to put more raven. And then I'm just going to hand blend this. You could also use the approach that we did for the tail, which was just to kind of stack it, you know, thinly on there. But might as well get a little bit of blending done. So same thing, I want the fringy edge to come off of the shape. This one I'm going to wrap around. I think I'm going to wrap it around so we can see the difference. I do want to get all the way off this edge. because this is a real, it shows a lot. And then a little bit more off this edge. So the raven's wingspan, we were learning, is up to 4 feet, right?
It
Pretty
is
big.
double the crow. Yeah, 46 inches.
Yeah.
Up to.
I'm going to turn this over and then fold these over. So the iron helps this edge, when you fold it over like this, really get you know, like ironing a crisp fold in a shirt.
And you spray just a mist of water on it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right time for water or not, but that's what I was doing. I don't know if water helps hold the fold or if water helps unwrinkle. I don't know. I'm not a ironing pro.
It worked last time to
It worked.
mist it a little bit.
All right, that's good. So we're allowing the pre-felt and the power techs to do the work on these. It's not a ton of felting. I have a little bit left here. Let's see. I'm going to try a different approach. Put some raven down. Put a little bit of silk down.
So they're between 22 and 27 inches high.
Wow.
They weigh,
Oh, geez. They're big.
They weigh between 1 and 3.5 pounds with a 45-ish inch wingspan. So that's bigger than 3 feet, right?
Yeah. This all gets covered by other pieces, so I'm not worried about that top of this piece.
So a group of ravens is called an unkindness, which just seems sad to me.
Yeah, seems mean. Seems like,
right?
Isn't that irony?
That's like no way to
Is
start.
that irony? That's irony.
That it's unkind. And when I was looking, I need to see if I can find it again. It talked about naming groups of animals and how it was done a long time ago.
Oh, yes.
But I need to find...
It was, didn't you say it was, is the Middle Ages-ish?
Yes.
1400s?
It was Beasties and
Fowlies.
Fowlies.
Beasties and Fowlies all needed group names. That must have been an exciting time to live. And you're like, we get to name these. Future humans will thank us. I think it helps to kind of arrange your wings like this so that you know you have opposites. Okay, we're going to put fiber on these guys. Want to know I have opposites. And these I'm going to tint purple. But I'm just going to, because the purple is a plumage, it has wool in it, I'm just going to put a little bit of raven. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Victoria Crowned Pigeon, I think this one is. We always lament the complicated plumage names.
I blame that on you.
Yes, totally my fault.
So they came about from the upper class hunting culture in the 14th and 15th centuries.
Okay, all right. People needed to know what they were about to shoot.
The Book of St. Albans. It's called a collection of bears a sleuth, and a group of foxes a skulk.
Foxes do skulk.
Mm-hmm.
This is a thin piece. So I'm going to wrap this around. This is a tricky one. Like I was thinking this was my top, but yeah, I guess that is the top.
It's a very efficient
So you
way
can see
to make
this
wings.
goes here, and then this goes here, and then this is going to go here.
Just like that, you have a whole bird.
It's
definitely
it's good,
quicker than
feathers.
individual feathers.
Faux show. All right, so on the tail, we use the cut technique. On the wings, we're using the fold technique. We might do a combo. We might fold it, power text it, and then decide we also want to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
You shall see. If you are pre-watching the video, you will already know. It's exciting. It's like being a fortune teller.
I don't know. Some people like to wing it.
We sure do. Okay, so these, I'm going to put there's a slightly shorter end. I'm going to put to the front, longer end to the top. And it's actually going to get positioned somewhat like this. So this will stay fringy and get covered, but all of this needs to be folded around. And these I'm going to do in blue. Make your little wings whatever color you desire. It really does not take much of this. Ooh! Does not take much of this fiber to change the direction of the color. So you don't have very much of these top coats in the supply pack because it doesn't take very much. I think I want to fold this edge over. I'm going to fold this inside edge. This was not on the template. I'm going to fold that inside edge in a little bit because I'm picturing this on it. And this is kind of where that shoulder bump is. So you can see I just folded it over about an inch. I'm going to bring these around. It's like a little bit messy until you iron.
Yes.
Yeah. It's on a wing and a prayer at this point. See? Like so. That's why I folded that around, because I think it'll be exposed. This is like creating a shape. You know, we talk about paint puddles and color puddles and like blender fiber. And this is like having shape puddles. You're making these shapes, and then once they're ironed and power texed, it's like you can kind of do what you want with them, you know. Okay, while Kyla presses these, we will continue on with our raven body. All right, while Kyla is ironing, we're going to keep building on our body. And this is going to be several just sort of core shingles almost. That's what helps just smooth this body out into the bullet shape that it is. So we'll be taking about 3-inch pieces of full core and just folding them over. First thing I want to do is cover this wire here. So I'm going to position this on the side, and I'm going to stab just above the wire. I just sort of know where it is. Just be careful. So I stab lightly so that if I do hit wire, instead of like breaking my needle, it bounces off. And then I'm going to fold this over. I felted about 1 inch of space, fold this over and felt it down. My wire's right there. And we'll do the same thing over here. This one got a little bit more covered, which is good. Remember what I said about taking a bit more time with stabbing than I am. I also want to do a down and up on this leg, top of this thigh, to get this wire covered and build up this shape just a little bit. So I'm going to take a 6-inch piece, split it in half lengthwise, hold it on top of that thigh square, coming over this wire, go down, around, maybe twice, and then back up, and return the fringe over the back thigh wire. It's that all nice and covered. It is a little bit of a wacky armature. And so on this side, I'll do it right-handed and it won't be as good, but you'll get to see it. I start on here, go over the front wire, go around the thigh. I think I said 2 times. And then return up the back. How's it going, Kyla?
Good. The ironing does quite a bit to really sharpen it, shine it.
Okay. Then we want to go sort of up the body, adding these tacos. The first one, I want to fill this space between the tail and the body. So I'm going to put it here, let the fringe come onto the tail. I'm going to stab the center 1/3. So I've got 1/3 of fringe, 1/3 stabbed, and 1/3 folds over. Now, unlike when we add shingling to make a fur, we do want to stab all of this down. It's not meant to like stick off. This is just a nice, easy way to get a seamless bullet shape. Do it again. I'm working with 3 to 4 inch pieces. Just let this fringe overlap the fold. I don't need a ton of bulk under the belly this time. Maybe if you do, then stack your shingles closer, but I'm spreading this out a little bit because I don't need this to be thicker. And then we repeat this whole process with the raven. So it all does get felted down a lot more. So you can see now how that's creating a nice smooth shape. I'm going to put one here and then maybe 1 or 2 on the neck. Actually, I'm going to stagger these. I'm going to put one over here and one over here. So one kind of coming this way. Might help exaggerate that shoulder blade a little bit. One coming this way. Oh gosh, that looks good.
Yeah, the
Exciting.
ironing's huge.
And then one right here. So these are fairly spread out. I'm covering a lot of ground with each piece. It's a lot of core wool. So it's meant to be a smoother to the body shape more than really like adding any particular shape or bulk. I'm going to do another one right here under the neck. They have quite a thick neck. Okay. Trying to see what I need on the back here. I don't feel like I need too much. I'm going to put one here. I might end up putting something there, but yeah, you know what? Let's take a 12-inch piece, split it in half lengthwise, and wrap the wide part of the Zuli tool. I just want a little more bulk on the top of his back. So I'm going to go out 3 inches and back 3 inches. And this will stretch out. And then I'm going to put this right in the middle of his back, kind of tapering just as it reaches the tail. They have a decent amount of bulk to their back and wings. I want to make sure I've got the wool under there before we start putting top coat on. So from the side, you can see that shape now. And then we're going to put a couple more tacos on the back of the neck here with the whole pieces. So this one, I'm letting the fringe come down to the body so that it all blends together. And then we'll do one more right up to the back of the head. Looks good. Take a few minutes to stab all this down, get it nice and smooth. It is going to get stabbed with top coat, so you don't have to make it rock hard or perfect, but you do want this all to be adhered and cohesive. And we'll take a look at our wing pieces and get the power text on. Did you find a brush? Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much. This is how much core wool I have left. It's about 3 feet. Another 4 feet, just to give you an idea of where we are with it. Alrighty, thank you. It's a good idea to find your wings again.
I tried to keep mine first.
Okay. See, I feel like that's that one. Okay. Yeah, find your wing again so that you know which side you are adding the power text to. And I mainly want to stick to about 1 inch on the edges and these tips. I don't want to power text all the way up into the fiber because this all has to get felted on and maybe have some more overlap. So, and the way that it works for me is to turn it around this way. So I realize that that's a little confusing, but that's where I have to hold it so that. And I'm probably doing 2 parts power text to 1 part water, not quite half and half. I am eyeballing it. All right, so front inch in or so. And I really want to saturate this because that's what's really firms it up. Makes it look sharp. And I'm going to get both sides. And don't worry about these fibers that are kind of coming off. They all get trimmed if they need to be. I want to get the whole tip of the wing going back maybe 2 or 3 inches. All right, this is a good time for some fun facts because it just takes me a little while to paint these.
Ravens hide their food.
Oh, like a squirrel?
They hide it from other animals, including other ravens.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll make hide it in one place, but then look like they're hiding it in another place.
Ooh, this
like
the
a
fake
decoy.
out.
Yep, they do the fake out.
Kyla brought me a piece of plastic to set these pieces on. Wow, that's complex.
This is why they're smart and tricky, and I think they get
That's
there.
kind of like you had to do that. You're learning a lot from the ravens.
What?
You're
my
like,
appetizer?
Look! And everybody looks and you grab your cheese sticks. Your mozzarella sticks.
My gummies. Gotta hide the gummies. The gummy worm. That's very bird-like.
Yes.
The other really interesting thing is ravens remember faces.
Yeah, I saw like a whole study where if you wrong them, they remember you and they throw things at you and they tell the other ravens that you are no good.
They do.
Yeah.
They hold grudges,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, they pass those grudges along. So somebody... Oh, do I have it?
What?
There was a whole story about this woman who was helping a raven that was hurt, but like the other ravens didn't know that, and they thought she was like taking one, and she had to walk a whole different way
to not get attacked.
Yeah, because every time she went by, they totally went after her.
They thought she was taking one. They're like, alien abduction. So I'm really getting the tips of these pieces because then I'll cut them to the wing shape that I want.
So The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe is not about ravens.
Okay.
It's about grief and the loss of Lenore, which leads to a descent into madness and obsession. So it's not about ravens.
That's some high level grief. That's
Well, then
dark night of the soul.
He wasn't very popular. Like, he was an unknown. And then he wrote that poem and became very known. And apparently the children used to chase behind him, squawking like ravens, like birds. And then he would yell at them, nevermore. And then they'd keep doing it.
It was a whole thing.
I feel, yes.
It's a different kind of paparazzi situation.
You know, those kids were just doing that to have him do it again, though.
Yes. You know that because that's how you do. Kyle was like,
I mean, not now.
Really...
Not now.
I would have been the kid who was like, leave him alone.
I might have too. I don't actually think I was mean. However, I've worked with
mean,
kids a long time. No, you see how kids are, though. Gotta learn, like,
don't instigate
reactions and how people are. My own kid got, like, kicked out of the church nursery because he kept hitting the babies in the carriers because he wasn't trying to be mean. He didn't have any little siblings, and I think when he hit them, they reacted. So then he was like, huh. So then he did it again. Then I picked him up, and the lady was like, Matthew's he's gonna have to go to the next room.
I got carried out of the church nursery because when another little 2-year-old, something fell on him and made him cry, I started to cry. That's one of my earliest memories. Is I remember her saying, "Don't you cry too?" And little old soul me was like, "I'm empathetic."
Aww.
But yeah, no,
nice
it was very upsetting.
Child was like, "Wow, look at that child crying. What was it that I did that made that happen, and how do I do that again?" I mean, I think he was 2, but
those were some early stuff. Well, yeah, we all, Evan was a biter, and he's a sweetheart. He's a total sweetheart.
It took a few years. The kids, they need to learn. So they were learning with Edgar Allan Poe. When we yell at exotic poet, dark, grieving poets, they shout.
I'm waiting for my poem, my famous poem. Hasn't happened yet. Poetry is something else. I write poetry, but it's way too literal. I don't know how to be figurative.
I think the Raven's very rhymey.
Yeah. I'm going to go a little farther up on this because it sticks off in space a lot, and I want to make sure it has oomph. So I've gone in about 2 inches. And then on the edge a little bit.
This does talk about magpies. They seem to be the...
Magpies are super cool.
The kleptomaniacs is what it says. Well, at least in stories, they had a habit for stealing shiny objects.
Okay. I wonder how big they are relative to crows and ravens. Are they in between? I feel like maybe they're in between. Or are they the size of a raven? All right. Lovely. Ready for drying.
Magpies are little. They're half the size of a crow.
What?
And the crow is 1/3 the size of a raven. Well, that's what this says. And my one internet source is definitely correct.
We're going to have to find out. While our wings are drying, we're going to work on the head and beak. I have the swax warming up. This is sort of half a head. I was, experimenting, and this is where we're going. So I will show you how to get there. And then it's also going to have a wire that comes underneath with the second beak piece. So we'll make that as well. The first thing we want to do is wrap our head a little bit more. So you'll need a 1/2 or 1/4, about 6 inches long. And we want to go around the head. The crisscross works really well, so I'm just going to do that one more time. I still can feel the diamond shape in there. And then, keeping a nice flat ribbon, we want to come down the this pointy beak and then angle back. And I'm just going to pull some extra off. I'm ending on top. So I have a really nice, smooth, pointy shape here. It's rather flat. It's no more than a 1/4 inch thick right now. I'm going to stab it really well from the top and really well from the bottom. Now, we want to make 2 shapes for the top of the head. So let's pull a 6-inch piece of core. I'm going to 1/4 this. This core is on the thick side. Well, I'm going to use this 1/2 for one of the shapes, and I'm going to use a 1/4 for the other shape. But whatever wool width you're using, you want to end up with something like this. Like this piece is about 1 inch wide, and this piece is about 1/2 inch wide. This is probably a little too long, but we're going to wrap around the Zuli tool. We want to make a simple square. It's going to go right on top of the head. So I'm just going around within a 1-inch space. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's probably enough. Pull 3.5. Pull that off. And then this piece, we want to make a caret on the center of the face ace. So again, I'm going to stay within 1 inch. It's going to end up a little bit longer. And I want to come down, turn around, and concentrate a bit more of the wool on the back end of the shape so that it's bulkier back here, thinner up here. So when we pull that off, you can really see how it's tapered towards the front and bulkier in the back. So the first piece, our square, is going to go on top of the head, the back half of the head. This is where our armature wire, aluminum armature wire is. And it goes with the rounded edges to the side and the fringe edge forward and the other fringe edge backwards. And this is what gives some width to the top of the head and gives the wide set eyes. We don't want anything too close together. They have nice broad squared off heads. I feel like there was one thing in the book, I don't know if they're still marked, that had a good face shape on it.
So you work a wire into the top. Oh, here you go.
Thank you.
The top and bottom beak each get wire?
Yes. Yeah. So you can see in this picture how wide, like we want that real wide space between the eyes. That's what the square is doing. And then this is a little bit of a narrower beak. I feel like sometimes they're thicker than this, but this is where the caret piece is going. The tapered piece is going onto the beak right here. So just right up against that square, they just butt up against each other. The more consistently you can wrap, the better success you're going to have, because your shape is going to be nice and consistent and smooth, which is how their beak is shaped. It's very, very precise shape. Now, to just smooth this out, hold it down, and give us a little tension, I'm taking a thin piece here, thin but consistent, about 3 inches long. I'm just pulling it out so it's real consistent and thin. I don't want to add a lot of bulk. I actually want to eliminate bulk. I'm going to take this like a ribbon and just kind of press the beak, the two parts together, the shape I just put on. I'm pressing it into the wrapped wire and smoothing it out and holding it all tightly with that thin ribbon wrap, so that now when I put my pre-felt on it, it's very distinct shape under there. I'm going to bring the swax into the picture here so that everybody can see how much I'm using and everything like that. So it's going to be a good idea to stab at this a little bit.
So ravens are very playful
Mm-hmm.
They'll trade sticks back and forth when they're flying.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
fun.
Like drop and retrieve objects while in flight, like try to catch them.
I have a little bit of video. I wonder if we could add it, Talbot, of a raven that we met in Adirondacks. Just walks up to us. Evan was pretty little. He was trying to give him he's like, they eat rocks, and he kept. I was like, I don't think they eat rocks. But it was super cool. He lived at the there's a wolf refuge there.
This actually says they appear to interact with other animals in a playful way, including wolves.
Yeah, super cool.
Also, apparently they enjoy sliding down snow-covered hills and across roofs.
I've seen videos of that.
It's cool.
Fun. Okay, I'm jumping around a little. All right. I do want to put another, I feel like it needs another wing taco. All right. So now I have this, well formed. It's not hard as a rock. That's because it's going to get a little bit sculpted by the swax when I put it on. This is like kind of a little heavier application than swax than I have done in the past or usually do. But it is quite, well shaped. And we have our beak pieces. So if you have one that's a little bit bigger, that's the one that you want for this job. I'm going to stretch it just a little wider. Okay. And with the color shaper, I think I gave it to you.
Here.
Thank you. With the color shaper, we're going to apply a generous amount of swax. Now this might dry on you because we're trying to cover a large area, or cool, I guess is the better way to say it. So I also have a clicker handy. I want to get this beak covered. So I can press it in. I can start to shape. They get quite narrow towards the front. So they make a nice narrow, so I'm pinching side to side, narrow this way, and then a little bit of a rounded tip. Now I'm going to put another layer, and then I might even hit it with the clicker, with the flame. Right now I haven't done the bottom. I'm doing the sides and top. And I'm going about 1.25 inches back and stop there. So I'm just going to heat it up a little bit so it's good and tacky. And then I'm going to put the pre-felt on. So I'm just pressing that in, letting the swax be the adhesion. We can't stab it too much now because it's full of swax. And I have the back of the pre-felt just coming over where the eyes would be. That's okay, we can trim it. And the nose is a little bit long. And again, that's okay, I can trim it. But I want to start with a little bit more than I need. Okay, then we're going to cover this with swax. Oh man, it's a bummer when you get swax on your felting surface. Don't do what I just did. Because then it's like a weird place to stab. So this is the same process as we just did on the core. But this time, first time through, I'm just going to do the top and sides. And then when I do a second layer, I'm going to do the bottom and edges. So as it's cooling, I'm pressing it in, and I can really start to sculpt that beak pointy. I might trim just a little bit more off, I think. And then this round, it'll shine up, and I'm going to do underneath to get the real crisp beak edge. And if at any point, like I said, if your wax gets too thick or hard, that's when you want to reheat so that you can smooth it out and control it. It's definitely best to apply it in multiple thin layers than to try to do too much at once. You can always add more. And now we're going to get the sharp edges of the beak.
And you keep rubbing your fingers on
I'm
the
using
gnome butter.
A little bit of gnome butter, yeah. And right now I'm just going to make this pointy and then trim it where I need it to be. But the swax really lets you get like this super sharp edge. I hope you guys can see that. Okay, that's good. That's good for now. And I do want to stab this down at the back here. Now we're going to repeat this process now to make the lower jaw. I'm going to go ahead and trim this too so that everybody can see where stuff is. I'm still leaving a little rim because they do have this fun little dark ruff around their beak that I think is cool.
Ooh.
I know. Fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can do as good of a job on this part. I think I'm just going to use the center. We're going to have extra wire, but that's okay. And make a sharp point. And then open it up. And then we need to wrap. Oh no, what did I do? I did this. I pulled a 2-inch square. And I did it like we do an ear. So fold this over. Stab it. It's hard to keep. You want to keep the width to the wires. About 1.5 inches, and then fold that over and stab it. So keep it flat. Trying to keep your wires apart. This is the way we've made donkey ears like this. Basket bunny ears.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. You could try the punch tool. There's it usually works around wires pretty well because the needles are spaced out. Just be ginger. Stab gingerly. So I'm really trying to crisp it up right around that wire. And we're going to do the same thing and swax it and then add our pre-felt. So I have the pre-felt here. It's perfect perfect size. I'm going to pick a side that they kind of get a little bit of a concave shape. But you can shape that once this wax is on too. So this is going to be my swack side, and I'm going to go about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches back. I'm going to bring this over here so that I'm not dripping swacks everywhere. Yeah. I realize that I'm off center. I might swax the inside of this too, but don't know yet. All right, so it looks pretty rough because this is fairly loose, relatively loose core wool, but we just press it in. A little gnome butter is good. Helps your fingers, helps it not stick to your fingers. All right. I'm going to put another layer. And then I'm going to hit it with this just to make sure it's good and hot right before I, oh, now my fingers are slippery, before I stick the pre-felt on. Okay, and now we're going to swax the top. I'm leaving the back half of this untouched because I think we're going to have to pull some wool off. Press that together. And then the next pass, we'll shine it up and get the edges. Yeah, you can start to kind of like you're making a little dish there. But I can tell some of this is going to come off
here. There's a story here about a tourist in Yellowstone who saw some motorcycles like at the parking area, and there were ravens that landed on the seats.
Okay.
And it began to there was a pack on it, and one of the ravens unzipped it and went through the contents, throwing stuff out, and then it found food that they tore into. Like they just
helped themselves.
Yep.
They're like, oh, saddlebags. There must be provisions.
Speaking of beaks,
Mm-hmm.
oh, go ahead. Oh no, just they used their beaks wisely.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that time through, I went on the edges and on the bottom. So I you can keep going. I'm gonna keep my swax on for a minute, but yeah, that's the bottom. And then this is going to, sorry, that was very loud. And then this is going to go under here, and make sure you get it nice and lined up where you want it. I think I'm okay with this length. And there's no super easy way to do this. I don't usually twist wires, but I do want this to hold very tight. So I'm going to give them one twist, and then I'm going to cut them, make sure you look at a reference picture so that you've got your beak lined up properly. I feel like the lower beak comes maybe just inside the upper one. It's not set back. You don't want it to have an overbite. But it's not perfectly even either. It's just tucked right behind the hook of the beak. So make sure you're achieving that with your positioning here. And we still can kind of trim and change things. But these extra, after your twist, cut your wire at about 1.5 inches. And then we're going to fold these under because they do get a ton of neck fluff. So we can take these and just go around and get them tucked under all this fluff. Ooh, that looks good. So the eye is going to go right where the Zuli tool shape meets the armature shape. So just for stabbing's sake, let's just put one taco on the back of the head here. I'm going to do a 3-inch taco, but I'm going to split it in half because that's a little too wide. Just be careful. We just put all that wire in there, but we do want to get it covered with something. Man, they're so cool looking. And they have 2 little cheeks. So before we go further, we're going to take that other half of this piece that I just put on the back of his head, split that in half lengthwise, and wrap the face ace in the center to make 2 little cheek poofs. You want around about 4 times. Like you want it the size of a bean. You don't want it much larger than that.
Do you hear my stomach?
Yes. If your shape has a wide part, put it towards the back. And it's going to go on the armature portion of the side of the face, just below the eye. So this is a single needle job because you're kind of stabbing around that wire. We just had Taco Tuesday. I'm not sure why your stomach's growling so much.
Just happy. It's making happy sounds.
Well, that's good.
I had a sticky bun too. But I should have had a croissant.
Are you ravenous?
I was ravenous.
Oh, I love my beak. Okay, that's about it for the head. We got cheek, forehead, beak. See what I mean, Talbot? That's the extent of my poetry. And now I'm going to try to make an eye.
You rhyme all the time.
I do rhyme all the time. So I have a 3-inch, 2 to 3 inch piece. And we're going to make 2 eyes. You need a thin strip. I don't know how to say it. Little strip off of there. And I am going to wrap the end of the face ace, the very tip. And I'm trying to stay in a circle. If you need to crisscross a little bit, you can, but do not make a almond. Go for circle.
So what's a corvus?
It's a bird
Like
genus.
a group, a
I don't
genus
know.
of
There's
birds.
like different tiers. I don't know which tier
it's
it
a
is.
genus.
It's like bovine or
Oh, okay.
what are sheep and I'll think of it. Okay, so the eye, look at the picture, goes just behind the beak. Like the beak ends right before the eye, just behind the beak. Single needle. Stab your little black dot. I realize you can't see. I can barely see it either.
Ravens, crows, magpies, and jays. Like a blue jay is a
Yeah,
corvus?
yeah. This is a 38. I'm generally using 38s. Every once in a while I need a 40. Very infrequently I need a 36 and a 42, but they do have their place. It's hard to see. I've looked at a lot of reference pictures, and it's hard to see the little cheek in this picture. You can see it. You can see it here. It's a little less obvious right here, but it all gets. It's not very pronounced. It's just to round the face out, and it all gets blended. What's the face floof called?
Distal bristles?
Distal bristles.
Maybe.
That sounds right. So I think I'm going to put one more coat of swax on. She says tentatively. Not too much, just a little bit.
The little raven mustache. Why can't I find it? It's because I did a Google search for raven face floof.
Okay, so so I got this wax is a little bumpy. So this is where we want the clicker. We're going to do a reheat, and I've got my gnome butter, and I'm going to smooth. Heat and smooth. Yeah. Much better. All right, I think that's it for the swax. I want a little bit of a brow just to make sure that my eyes are set in to a socket and give the head a little bit more width. So I'm going to do that with...
They're rictal bristles.
Rictal?
I call them distal. What's a distal? What part? I don't even want to know what body part the distal is.
Rictal? Rictal.
Rictal bristles.
What does rictal mean?
I don't know. What's distal?
I'm taking a little section of a 2-inch piece of charcoal, and I'm going to wrap the face ace about 2 inches in, just straight around, and this is going to give us a little brow piece. This we do want to be oblong. We want it to be a 1/2 inch wide.
Rictal, of course, means of, relating to, or being a rictus. It's a very helpful definition.
What is a rictus?
It sounds like you shouldn't say it.
I'm going to start calling people a rictus.
Depending
on what it is.
The opening or gape of a mouth. Specifically, the gape of a bird's mouth.
So instead of saying, shut your pie hole.
Shut your rictus.
Say, shut your rictus. Rictus constrictus. Please. Oh man, I wish I knew that when my kids were younger.
You can still say it.
Yeah.
Long distance. Even when you want them to talk. Distal refers to sites located away from a specific area. Parts of the body further away from the center. I don't know where distal came from.
Like my pinky finger?
Sure.
Distended, yeah. You don't want, with these brows, to get too much of an expression going on. We're just trying to extend the skull out further. So be aware. I feel like I need a double needle here. There is an eyeball in there, I promise. Hello. Hello,
Ooh.
Raven. Yes, I'm starting to see him now. I need to constrictor his Richter. He does have quite a rictus.
He has a fabulous rictus.
But why is a rictal bristle... Wait, now I'm getting my words mixed up.
It is. It's a rictal bristle.
Why does the rictal bristle have anything to do with the mouth agape when it's nose floof? It's basically...
Well, it looks like they're above and below.
Okay, well, what we're talking about...
Rictal bristles...
is this.
Yes.
But then this, I thought, was hackles.
They do have, actually, some rictal bristles underneath.
Okay.
And on top.
Okay.
And hackles.
Okay.
They got
All
the
right.
rictals and the hackles.
I missed the under rictal bristles. I'm not putting that on my sculpture.
They're pretty small.
I've too far gone with this wax for that. Let's do our white dot so that you guys can actually see the raven's eye. You want a teensy bit. The white dot is very important to get small because if you make it a small white dot, it looks like shine. If you make it too big of a white dot, it looks like a big weird white spot on an eyeball. So I can tell that these are already too big, so I'm going to split one in half. And then I put it towards the top, and I just try to really stab in the same spot. Don't like how poofy my brow is. Don't want it quite that poofy. All right, let's put on the rictal bristles. They go on the top. We're going to use Raven. They should be very dark. And we're going to just pull a swath. Swath? Gets mixed up with swatch. Cut it in half and restack it until you have a nice, even half section. You just rest right there. And then we're going to stab using the fur technique, although I don't think we need a staple, right into the nose where the swax ends, in front of the eyes, in front of our little black crest poof. So right like that. So I got to maybe turn it towards me like this. Trying to make sure I'm centered. And just coming over the top, around the sides a little bit. And then you pull that forward. And then stab that down. And this is where the thinning shears came in handy, because we do need to trim this.
Yeah, they have pretty long bristles on top, but they do pretty much lay flat.
So kind of like a maybe a reverse needle on the bottom, but it's swaxed now, so I don't think it's a super important detail on the bottom. So I want to cut this about like halfway back the nose, and the thinning shears just help you do it without it being, blunt and weird. Gives it a little fringe. Nice. Oh, he's proud of that. He's feeling good. Now, on the face, all we need to do is mix some black and raven and get this charcoal covered. I still have this. Half a raven is good, so let's pull another section, cut it in half. Just because it's such a small space, you don't want to be fighting long fibers. And then mix this with the black core. And that's going to give us a good mix to get the head covered up.
I'm going to check your wings. They might need flipped.
Okay. So with little tufts of this, we're just going to go over the cheek and down under the chin here. I'm going to leave this fringy for now near the chin because we do put quite a few more pieces under there. So I'll let these overlap that. How are they?
Pretty fancy. Need to dry a tiny bit more, but.
And then just over the top of the head. I'm going to go across. Guess I'll go in the direction that the feathers would be going, front to back.
He's really looking like something.
Yeah. He's looking like a naked raven.
Forgot to get dressed.
Yeah, I think this project, it's just like, yeah, we should call it a 4. The familiarity with the techniques, like using swax and stuff, you don't want it to be the first time you've made an armature or the first time you've used swax or even the first time that you've wrapped toes. You want to have some groundwork. Ooh, I dig it. This raven has a little tood.
It's because of his rectal bristles.
He's not quite as friendly as the other ones. I don't know if it's the shape of his mouth or what yet, but I'll figure it out. Let's see a piece, and then we will commence floofing. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can do all kinds of stuff with that. Let it dry just a little bit more. Very cool. One thing before we go to the next step, sort of something that I'm realizing, is I want to I'm going to pull this neck fluff up. I want to really emphasize this shoulder again. So I'm going to use a nice, big, thick 3-inch piece of core, stab it in and fold it over. And then I feel like our body will really be ready for all of the plumage. Just re-emphasizing where that wing shoulder is. And then same thing over here. It got a little buried under here. So we're going to bulk it back up. That's better. So now when you look at them from the front, you can see a little bit more shoulder going on there. We have ourselves a naked raven. He needs floof. Before we start, I'm going to pull a tarot card for the day. A crow tarot card. I'm just going to pull one.
One.
I stand a better chance with one.
One for the day.
Yeah, we want to know what our raven needs. What I need to guide us through this process. It's going to be one and the same.
He needs some feathers and some wings. I can tell you what he needs.
Here we go. We got this yesterday.
Well, then apparently it's important.
The 10 of Wands. That is a bountiful delivery. That's what that is.
Is that a good thing?
It is a good thing. Yes, that 10 is at the top.
Oh.
It's all coming to be. See, look at him. He's dropping it off.
He's got all right.
Yeah. Okay. We have a naked raven. We have all of our wing parts. And we still have a lot of our plumage, which is what we're going to begin shingling on. And just like we did the core, we're going to start at the tail and work our way up. And this is just quite a bit of stabbing. And I recommend that you stab again more than I do. So to shingle, we want to put a third, put the fringe going in the direction we want. Felt the center 1/3. and then fold over the top 1/3. We're just going to work our way up. We particularly need this underneath because the wings do cover a lot of the top. This is your time to shine because this is going to take a while.
Well, I looked up raven feathers, and this says raven feathers have been considered sacred by various cultures for centuries. These birds are often associated with magic, mystery, and the unknown. Finding raven feathers can signify encouragement for spiritual growth and embracing change.
Very cool.
Wow.
Isn't it like illegal to keep?
Okay, so that's
feathers?
What this says right now. Are raven feathers legal to own? You knew exactly where I was going with that.
Not really, I don't think.
Well, not with that, but that's my next thing. According to the Feather Atlas, I don't know, the possession of feathers and other parts of native North American birds without a permit is prohibited by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act.
Yeah, we've come across that a lot.
What if you're walking along?
I know.
And there is a raven feather on the ground in front of you that you didn't pluck off a bird. It's just there. You're supposed to leave it? It's illegal to pick it up?
I'm pretty sure I would pick it up.
You're just...
Yeah. It's good. It's good that these things are in place to protect the birds, I think. Keeps people from doing too much.
Well, it says feathers and other parts. Which I was looking up raven claws yesterday when you were working on the talons, and there were like necklaces made of silver, but then there was one place that had like replicas. But they had an actual one from a museum that had let them use it to get the exact cast, I guess is probably what it's called.
That's cool.
So, yeah. It's
like a cast replica.
For $20, you could get a cast replica of a raven claw. But yes, you don't want people thinking they need
bird parts.
Bird parts. And then, in the midst of everything, where can I get raven feathers? And then you start reading, it's like, wait a minute. You shouldn't be able to do that. It's all from a game. Because there's different games that you get, like... it's like a token or whatever.
Right.
So then I was lost in this world of gaming that I didn't realize I was in at first.
You got to know where you are
on the
out there on the on the interwebs. I'm just going straight raven plumage under here. I don't really feel a need to mix other colors in. I feel like the pop is good on the wings and on the hackles. And maybe I might do a little bit more on the face. But so every sort of pull of plumage, the fringe overlaps the last fold. And you can really cover some ground shingling this way.
So, ravens in stories often act as psychopomps.
What's that mean?
I've never seen that word before. It says connecting the material world with the world of spirits. But I have never heard the word psychopomp, which I'm now going to look
have
up.
not either. Isn't that super ego?
Psychopompos. It's from a Greek word, which means guide of souls.
I like it.
There's creatures, spirits, angels, demons, or deities in many religions whose responsibility it is to escort the newly deceased souls from earth to the afterlife.
That is
There's a movie called Psychopomp. That's probably creepy. Notable real-world examples, the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm. The real-world examples. I like that.
That's what it says.
Let's define real world.
All right, that's interesting, that word, and never having heard it.
Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's could be a time lapse situation. But we're getting there. I just can't wait to get far enough that I can start putting wing pieces on.
This raven looks very wise.
This one?
I feel
this
like
particular
he has
one?
Yes, I feel like he's got a very not unkind, just like more serious.
Mm-hmm. He is kind of serious.
Well, maybe he's a psychopomp.
Yeah,
that's serious work.
Let's pull another card and see what he is. Do you want to do the honors? So just shuffle them in your hands a little bit. Channel this raven. And then when you feel it's right or a card pops out, that's the one. I got a little wire showing here. I'm not sure why.
This symbol is one I generally try to avoid.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, that jumped out.
What jumped out?
I don't know
Let's
what
see.
it is.
Let's see who this guy is.
There's
oh,
cups.
You know, isn't that fun? This one jumped out yesterday too.
Well,
I know, and we've been shuffling and everything. So this is the 7 of Cups.
It actually flung itself out of the deck.
Yeah. So you can read about it, but my understanding of it is you're looking at opportunities, choices, maybe a lot of emotions.
It says, step back and weigh all your options. Take time to evaluate the pros and cons of a choice.
I wonder how that applies to this raven specifically versus the process of needle felting.
She's finding it hard to commit to a decision. As a result, she's stuck in place.
I like to think of it more. I mean, there's definitely cards that are very stuck. A lot of swords cards. But I feel like the cups, 7 of Cups is more of an opportunity than maybe a crossroads.
Well, this is saying kind of like step back and take a look at it and then make a decision.
Mm-hmm. Space is always such a game changer. Creates perspective, new perspective. So that's saying step back is so important.
Was the other one the 10 of Wands?
Yes, you want to go ahead and let me know if I was...
Well, it says the 10 of Wands may reflect an inner strength that will assist you during a time of struggle. From a distance, the 10 of Wands didn't appear so big to the crow. However, once committed to carrying the wands, the crow quickly questioned whether or not it made the right choice and if it was now unable to manage the task. Was the treasure worth the effort?
Interesting.
It says this card is a message of caution. You may have taken on responsibilities that could prove to be a bigger burden than anticipated. If you're a 2 and you are trying to felt this raven, take a step back, do another project.
I like my interpretation better. He is doing it. He is doing it, and it is...
Well, it says the 10 of Wands also reflects an inner strength that will assist you during a time of struggle. You're doing it. This project initially had a little struggle.
All right, I'm going to stop this because I want to put it on. Oh, wait, we want to put a pelt or plumage covered taco on the legs here. So let's do that. Let's get 2 3-inch pieces of black core and then go ahead and put some plumage on them so that the fringe comes off each side, like 2 pulls. So it's quite abundant. And then I'm felting across just north of halfway, like kind of at the top, a third of the way down. Let me get the punch tool on this.
So many things say, is it a good or bad omen to have ravens nearby? Because to many, ravens symbolize death or bad fortune, but to others, they symbolize rebirth and starting anew, and it's a positive sign. I feel like
So interesting. I would feel
choose to see things.
Yeah, I would feel very positive. I saw a bald eagle on the way back from getting lunch yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was really cool. We see them quite a bit around here now. Okay, so the 2/3 side is going to be the showing side. And I want to go around this, the top of this thigh, and let the fringe come down towards the hock. So I'm going to start from over here. Start to get it stuck, and then just bring each side around. And I'm going a little bit into the Y-shaped area of the armature and a little bit into the upper thigh. A little bit into that upper leg square that we made. And then how much I want to felt this down in terms of all this, I can decide.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
The legs look less crazy.
Trying to get this so you guys can see it. If I'm going to have something folded underneath, I like to have the top layer pointing towards the back. I don't know why, it just feels like it shows less, or it comes up every once in a while in projects. And then it's not a bad idea to stab on the outside a little bit. And while I have it here, I can put a shingle on this. I have made 4 ravens now, and I know it's all been a little different, like each time. The steps and, you know, how I get from one place to another. So don't worry if you're winging it a little bit in your process.
I'm still stuck on the omens and the perceptions of positive or negative. Like, you just got to call it positive. Don't be getting bogged down in superstition. Like Michael Scott said, only be a little bit stitious.
Stitious.
Not superstitious.
I don't know who Michael Scott is, but I like it.
It's an Office reference.
Okay.
Did you see The Office, Talbot? Right?
I mean,
I'm
anything
just a little bit
I
stitious.
see in nature, it's hard for me to imagine anything that I would be like, ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, except for maybe a tornado.
Yeah.
Or like a snake that's getting ready to bite me.
I mean, there's danger.
There's danger, but not like everything is so amazing and beautiful and complex. Okay. Probably going to want one more under there, but we shall see. Let's put on some wings. It's important to arrange your wings beforehand. so that I have them all lined up.
Ooh.
Okay, let's do a little bit of trimming. Use these. Get these looking good. I'm just going to trim off. Let me get the stab it out of the way. I'm going to trim off some of this fuzz. You could make a little, a little dent or variation in it. This I just want to be really straight, so I'm just going to trim the end piece. And this looks pretty good. That one's straight as can be. Just needs the end.
It's amazing in pictures how blue they can look.
Yes. Okay, so this is going to be the left side of the bird. And let's do the tail as well. I'm curious, if you pull one more card, is it going to be the same one that came out yesterday?
Should I do it or should you do it?
You should do it. I should stay on task. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but I feel like if it were the same one, I would remember it.
King of Pentacles.
Thank you, Talbot. Well, now, okay. We'll see what happens.
I wouldn't know what it looked like, even if... Is that it?
This one?
I mean, it jumped out. Did it jump out, or was
Ooh. No, this is the Three of Swords.
It could have just been me shuffling in a messy, uncoordinated way.
This card indicates a third party. Maybe some heartache.
What?
Yeah.
My son leaves on Friday morning for the year.
Yeah.
It's a little heartache.
Yeah. He's the third at the moment.
Which one is it?
The Three of Swords.
Ew, that's awful. Yeah, that's heartache. Ow.
Okay, first we're going to put the tail on so that we know how far we want everything to go. They have quite a lot more back here than we have armature. So we want to extend it as much as we can without it. I think that's going to be good. So that'll stay nice and straight. So I'm going to turn it over and stab through. It's not really going to stay yet, but just get her going here.
It says the crow watches his partner fly away.
Oof. Oof. Oh, my heart. And then I'm going to stab on top.
The Three of Swords represents a time of sadness and loss. However, without sadness, we would never truly understand true happiness. And without loss, we would not appreciate all we have.
Yep.
And what do they call it when all your kids leave?
Empty nest.
That's where we are. You know, the nest.
Mm-hmm.
That's my interpretation of it. That has nothing to do with this project.
Nothing personal at all. That's how tarot works, though.
Right.
You know, it gives you just something to think about in your current perspective, your current place. Okay, left wings.
Ooh, that tail's good.
Thank you. This is going to go over. Well, it can go back as far as we need it to go back, actually, because this one's going to go over the wing hump, the shoulder hump. So I'm going to go ahead and scoot this down a little bit. Make sure to look at a reference picture. See, take a look at where the wing lies, relative to the body. So, you don't have it up here. You don't have it way down here. Get that looking right. And they're either like just as long as the tail or just short of the tail. It looks like to me. I don't think the wings extend past the tail. So I'm going to get this right here.
If you look up the raven tail, there's a definite difference between the raven and the crow tail. Get that shape.
So now we're stabbing through the back, so through the wing and through the tail. So it's really going to start help everything stay on. And I think I'm going to flip-flop back and forth between left and right. That way I can check both sides and make sure I'm getting the pieces on evenly instead of putting all of it on. All right, I need one shingle right here. This is a really satisfying project. I mean, they all are, but they all are like for different reasons. I think this being, somewhat life-sized.
It's a nice, it's a nice, big, substantial project. Cool.
Okay, so now I can put this on and make sure it is matching up on the back here. That looks good. I like it. I like it. It's probably hard to see on the video, but there are so many cool colors dancing around in here. So when we look at it from the back now, we can see where everything's coming. What were you going to say?
So many of them look blue and have a lot of what appears to be blue. So that is, I'm asking you how color works. That's light and color around it hitting the black that we're seeing blue. Like, how's it look blue when they're black?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that is, their feathers are just completely iridescent. And so it's different light bouncing off, like light from the sky, or if there is actually color in their feathers. I don't know if we ever really figured that out. One consideration with placing this piece is that you want this one to cover the top of it. So just keep that in mind when you're placing that. But basically I went an inch up and an inch in. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
Wow, I just spilled a lot. Look at your raven looks so much like that.
Oh, cool. Awesome. That's
face and
let me see. Can I see that again?
Talking about it being like a satisfying project.
Yeah, I feel like this beak compared to my other ones is maybe a little bit short. But we need this. Yeah, we need that. That was a big game changer the first time around.
Mm-hmm. The way that you're mimicking the wings without making 200 feathers.
Yeah.
Is great.
I think it's good to put these wings on before we do all the fluff on the neck, because then the fluff on the neck can overlap. And we also need to shingle down the back. So, and I mean, you guys can get, and often people do, they just take it a step farther. You can get more detailed. You could make more pieces, you could
to have even more layers.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty.
There's implied layers in the power text areas, though.
Mm-hmm. And we also have on the Goods and Faves page the gloss serum, which I'm not.
Oh, the shine.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that is. I don't know if it's behind me or over on those shelves, but we'll find it eventually. So I'm kind of sort of trying to felt this over to really like, oops, I want to cut that. To accentuate that curve of the shoulder. Their wings do almost touch on the back, so it's okay if they come. It would help me to have a stronger needle set. I'm not sure if any of these is stronger. I know sometimes I put, that feels a little stronger. Sometimes when I'm doing a big project, I'll have one pen tool with 38s and one with 36s so that I can get a little more oomph. Okay. Super.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my tail's really wide on this one. That one looks like I cut more pieces. Maybe. Okay. Let's go up the back to help hold all these feathers on, and then I will do the neck. Let me see here. So I'm put a few shingles going at the base of the tail up the back. And if you really want, you could put a little bit of black core in the center of these. So that would go just a thin bit in alignment. Really give you a lot of grab. I feel like it's felting just fine on its own, but that is an option.
What's a raven's favorite type of music? This one's groan worthy.
Oh gosh, aren't there any good ones? What about a proverb?
There weren't really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, that's unbelievable. But okay,
no,
ravens.
when I looked,
Favorite type of music.
it was all like lore.
Country.
It is country. We got a proper groan out of Talbot. There were not really proverbs. There were more like sayings, like famous quotes. Everything came up with famous quotes, and proverbs kept pointing to the Bible because there's ravens are referred to. Like, actually in Proverbs.
Okay.
In the Bible.
I gotcha. It was going right to the literal Proverbs. Let's see. Let's hear one.
Here's one. The eye that mocks a father, that scorns an aged mother, will be pecked out by the ravens of the valley, will be eaten by the vultures. It's harsh. It's a little harsh.
The eye.
As the eye
that mocks
the father that scorns an aged mother will be pecked out by the ravens of the valley and eaten by the vultures.
Okay, whatever they're saying to not do, I won't do.
Yes. Don't be a petulant offspring. Yeah, I would have thought there were proverbs all over the place for ravens. It's just a lot of riveting raven quotes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to put one kind of under this. Like, I'd need to get this to stay on and have the right color. So I'm going under one wing piece a little bit. Like I said, the last raven I made, that wasn't a step. So it's just gonna depend on where you are, what your guy needs. Now I can put this down and go over it.
Ska, yeah, that's for sure.
Oh, I love it when Talbot.
He does the jokes justice.
Freestyles on the joke front.
Although a group of ravens singing without any background music, that's a good one.
That's
right.
I can't even say
Acapella.
We're getting close to finished.
Ooh, there is a Danish proverb.
Okay.
One raven does not peck out another's eyes.
That's...
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody should be pecking out anybody's eyes.
Hannah Kent famously said, don't know who that is, but no doves come from ravens' eggs. Which to me is a little bit
sounds
like...
a little negative.
You,
Are doves the...
You're not getting a dove out of a raven's egg. I'm kind of like... You're not getting a dove. I mean, what? Are doves better than ravens?
Maybe it just means one thing is not going to beget
Historically,
another.
doves are nicer than ravens.
Did you know doves are just white pigeons?
Aww.
Poor pigeons. Pigeons get such a...
Yeah, they do get a bad rap.
Bad rap. City rats, isn't that what they're called?
Yeah. I think it's just because there's so many of them.
Poor pigeons.
Okay, we need to take a look at things. Make sure our shapes are good. We got enough bulk where there needs to be. So I feel like I need another piece of core on the back. And then we definitely, the reason he's looking a little turkey-like right now is because they have more here. So we're going to create a core taco gone triangle so that it comes under here and fills in this space. So let's do that first. I'm going to go ahead and use 3 inches of charcoal. First thing I'm going to do is make it into a taco.
Can't be looking like a turkey.
It does look like a turkey right now. And then I'm going to turn these corners in and make it into a triangle. Not, you know, completely, but just get those corners over like paper airplane style. So now we have a shape that can go onto the beak and fill in. My wings and tail are going to get bopped around a little bit. That, like that. So with that, and then one more piece on the right here, right? Like I'm going to have to kind of redo this plumage. It's definitely going to look more raven-like. What?
The talons are like, help! That noise was very raveny.
I got a little bit of swax in my way. Stab through it. Probably got my head in the way as well. On top of this, we are going to add many individual furs to create the hackles. So we do it a little bit differently than the way that we have covered the rest of the raven. Good, good. Let's get your little back neck. And we'll just I'm just going to put this one right on here.
You're doing a taco right onto it?
Yeah, shingle.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I think here as well, just a little bit. I'm going to pull a 3-inch piece and split it in half and go on each side here. So I'm going to have to redo that plumage as well. Just kind of looking it over, making sure it's built out the way I want it to be.
Everyone's raven at this point theoretically may or may not need some of these things, depending on...
Right. Yeah, this will, like, his neck getting bigger is going to make the head look smaller, which is good. Just checking everything. Dig it. Okay, we're gonna put some plumage shingles around and then put those individual hackles on.
Robert Jordan said, "To fight the raven, you may make alliance with the serpent until the battle is done."
Oh, wow.
Not so pro-raven in that sense.
Mm-mm.
On the road to wisdom, behave like a raven and observe everything carefully.
I like that. Awareness. It's so funny. Last go round, I was like, oh, I really used all that Payne's Gray or whatever, but I had a ton of this, and now I'm gonna have enough. It's just interesting.
Well, you're double layering a little bit here.
I have done some double layering, yeah.
For the people who watch this through completely first,
I know.
Perhaps they will put the core piece before a shingle.
Yeah, there's always something. Like there's always a little adjustment. So I'm gonna get a couple in the back, and then we're gonna do the special ones underneath the throat. So let's see. I'll go here.
What's interesting is you've made this 4 times. Every time you make the project, you could make it 4 more, and there might be things that you tweak. Like nothing is exactly the same each time.
No, you sort of feel your way through. Like I take notes. I guess the armature is the most consistent step.
But as everyone's working, they should be looking at their own reference pictures and adjusting their sculpture based on what they need.
Right. Oh, I do like this one.
I think his rictal bristles may be a little longer, which is why his beak
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah,
appearing
they're
a
also
bit shorter.
poofed up right now.
Yeah. I don't feel like his beak is actually shorter. So fancy. How does a raven keep its feathers in perfect condition?
Aside from preening, I don't know how.
By using different cosmetic products.
Oh, you got to stop. Talbot's going to leave. We're going to drive him out.
What about the Raven's
You're
favorite?
gonna drive me out.
Raven's favorite yard game. He could probably come up with a better one.
Was it lawn darts?
Not lawn darts.
Oh,
Which produced carrion.
It's like a lawn dart / smorgasbord. This is the core Raven blend that I had on the head. I'm just going to take a little bit and transition from the head over this shingle fold here. I don't know. What's the Raven's?
That was croquet. That's a good one.
Oh, croquet. Yeah, okay.
But we're talking about ravens.
They're in the same family. We pulled crow taro.
We did pull crow taro.
Can't ignore the crows. Ooh,
hooky. Well, this is like cheeks are a little too cutesy, but let's get this. He's like, I really want to be a chick. Let's get this. The other thing I can do is you can pull the plumage down under his, like to make him look a little fuller under his butt. Okay, so these hackle pieces, let's blend some, what did I do? Looks like I did some blue.
You did some individual.
Yeah.
So
we can hand blend some more plumage colors in so that they really show again. So let's just do it all. Let's take some raven and some blue and some purple and some brown and back to raven. Give it a few pulls. And then put these on as we're going to do individual fur like plumes. So I'm going to take a small section. It's very blue. I'm going to save it for the top. And I'm going to stab it firmly in the center. You could put some core wool on there, but I feel like this is a lot of core, so it really does lock in there well.
Ooh, that's a cool mix.
Yeah.
This will be extra fun for people to do it, to really see the colors in front of them.
Oh, yeah.
Since it doesn't quite translate on the camera.
This takes a little bit. We're doing small sections at a time. But I'm staying under and to the sides. I'm not really going around, I'm not going around It's all right under the throat.
So the hackles,
Mm-hmm.
they become very obvious when they're vocalizing.
Okay. Are they like a showy male thing at all?
Well, it says during threat displays, they'll fluff out the throat hackles, and
Okay.
apparently there's some ear tufts that they fluff out too.
Okay. Didn't come across the ear poofs.
The ears.
Let's see.
I don't know if you don't
ear poofs.
I don't know if you don't see them
Gosh,
unless
they're so cool.
unless they're actually floofed out. I'm trying to see why they. Oh, here we go. Hackles. Shaggy hackles.
I might cut them in half as I get up here. I think that's
Okay.
what I'm going to do. I don't think I did that last time.
It is a social dominance thing.
Okay. Okay, so I have about an inch left of core, and I'm going to cut a good bit of this in half, I think. And then if we restack with cut ends opposite, it makes it a little easier to blend it out. And then resume with shorter pieces. Let's see. Yeah, that's looking good. I'll probably like trim and mess with those a little bit. And these too. Like they're a little wacky. So I might play with those a bit. But these I want to stick off. The rest of this plumage, I kind of want to stay tight to the body, which is why I wanted to make sure that my body shape was good. He's got his bodycon plumage on.
There was just some hackle information that I was looking for,
Mhm.
and then I clicked like from a search into the article, and the article's like 30 paragraphs and really, really hard to
it's
find.
like somebody's dissertation.
Yes. This.
I like it when I come across, dense material. Not that I always read it, but.
Everything is just saying they use their hackles for social communication, but what are they trying to say?
Right.
The hackles are raised in threat and dominance displays. There it is.
All right, let's take a look. And I think we're going to need a little bit of our blend, our core blend, to just make this some transitions here, which I think I am out of, so I'll make a little bit more.
Was that core raven and some of the peafowl?
Yeah, this is now the mix that I made with core, not just raven. So I'm making transitions. A little bit under the, it's going to be hard for me to stab into the underneath of my beak. I did a better job on my swax placement on previous projects, but I think I got a little bit of space here. Some tiny little under distal
That's
feathers.
what they look like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely shorter. Ooh, that looks good.
Well, thank you. I like if I stab the plumage down, you can see like the shape of his neck and the shape of his shoulders and stuff. So I will spend some time kind of organizing all of this floof that's on him. Do some trimming.
Ooh.
Like this, he doesn't need these long pieces under his legs. And then the same with these. I can go through, I kind of like it. I can go through with thinning shears or a little bit of product. Kind of like cutting them. I didn't cut the other ones, but I feel like it looks more feather-like, actually, a little bit more blunt. All right, more stabbing is needed on my wings to get everything secure. I do not work in any posability with these. Just kind of his head, neck, and posture is posable, but not the wings. I'm getting those pretty fixed. So that just takes some more stabbing is all. And then I am going to treat the legs I'm going to use the Power Wax. This Power Wax just works really well. Then, depending on when you're watching this video, we had a reformulation come in that wasn't good, so then we stopped carrying it. But we're hoping that it gets sorted out and that we will carry it again. But this is a cold wax, a water-based cold wax medium. And we're also will be experimenting, as we always do, with alternatives and other products. But you might have this on hand, and if you do, you should go ahead and use it because it works really well on the legs. The swax, this is a lot of ground to cover with swax, all the legs. You could do it. It just feels a little risky to me in terms of the amount of territory and then like just not getting it on anything else. And, but this is real easy. You can just go for it. And I just smear it on with my fingers. Almost like you're giving your raven a much needed spa moment. You got your little craggly there. Let me smooth you out. And it does look really cool. I'll show one of the finished ones. What else you got? Anything else?
I'm just mesmerized by the feathers that you have going on there.
Cool. I'm glad they look good. I'm too close to it.
Well, using the different colors and then the power text and then it drying and hardening, but it totally gives it the sheen and like the translucent.
Yeah, it looks, I can see the blue for sure. You can see the brown and the purple too.
There are some funny stories about people inadvertently wronging ravens and then being dive bombed for years.
Oh my gosh. So funny. Like, do they not accept apologies? They did say they hold grudges.
Oh yeah, they hold.
They're the is it Taurus? I feel like Taurus is like that. Of the animal kingdom.
Just not letting it go.
Forgive me, Taurus, if I'm wrong. That's funny. Inadvertently wronging a raven.
Well, this wasn't actually inadvertent. In Seattle, there was a study. Now, this has to do with crows, and ravens are even smarter and have longer memories. Students with full face masks trapped, banded, and released several crows around campus. They weren't injured, but it was unpleasant and frightening. This says grudges were held. When those same students later returned without masks, or different masks, they were ignored. But anyone wearing the same masks as the trappers were harassed and dive bombed by gangs of crows, even ones that hadn't been trapped. So like word got out. This says 10 years after the trapping incident, after the original trapped crows had likely died, subsequent generations of crows of University of Seattle have been taught to recognize and remember that villain. Anyone wearing that mask continues to be mobbed and harassed.
That's amazing.
So, be careful what you do out there.
Yeah. Wow, they all look so different. He can have his hackles out or I'm not going to mess with him too much because his legs are still so wet. Trim this a little. I dig it. I think he might be my favorite one.
Yeah.
He looks more serious. The other one, he looks less less of a caricature and more like I got it a little more realistic. So I was just looking over my notes and my sketches. I think I've explained pretty much everything that we need in terms of steps. But yeah, I did a lot of sketches. Helps me get familiar with the animal, especially like when we look at pictures, we tend not to look at the weird angles. So finding pictures from straight on or pictures in flight, exploring the gestures that they make, the positions that the postures that they often have and stuff like that. And that's fun too when it comes to posing your ravens. You can squat him down, you can stretch him out, you can have his mouth open. His head can be, in or he could be reaching. And I wanted to share it's on point, so to speak. That's a pun. Because we're carrying these black wing pencils, which I have fallen in love with and use all the time now. And they're like the, the fountain pen of the pencil world. They're just easy. You don't have to press hard. We have balanced, soft, and firm. So definitely check those out if you're a pencil person. I am a pencil person. So, well, thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. We had a great time putting this together for sure. It was ambitious project for a kit, for a supply pack, and a tutorial, but super fun. And I can't wait to see all the ravens that you guys make. You can share them in our group, which is Sarafina Felting Fanfare on Facebook. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's a good idea. And check out Sarafina Fiber Art if you haven't already, because all the supplies are there. And you can subscribe to the newsletter, which is how we stay in touch with all of the, all of the new news. Anything else? No? All right. Thanks so much.